Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Nerdy Boys Reviews, MBR. We are your hosts. I'm Scott.
I'm Christian.
And hope everybody's doing all right this week. This is episode number 15, all about Gotham.
Yeah, this episode was called Viper. Essentially, the episode was about Gordon and Bullock trying to track down who's passing around this new drug called Viper in Gotham. You also have other storylines with Penguin. He's getting further in the ranks with Sal Maroni, and Sal Maroni's trying to get a feel for him to see how honest he is. And then you also have the Fish Mooney storyline where she's training up this girl, and that you see the payoff for that with Falcone at the end.
Yeah. I also, you see in this episode with Viper, they changed the name, from at first it's like the less effective version of the drug is Viper, and then they changed it to the name to Venom,
right,
which it was like the more effective version of it.
Yeah, like the first version, Viper is like more volatile, killing people and whatever, and then Venom's the more perfected strain of the drug.
Yeah, and then also in this episode you see Bruce Wayne playing a lot more detective. You see he somehow commandeered some files from the police, and now he's going over the Wayne's murders, and he's trying to figure out what's going on within his company. A little bit, some of our thoughts on this episode. I feel like it's much improved from last week.
I mean, we didn't really think last week was bad. Our review was kind of like really down on it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really about the episodes. The episodes haven't been bad per se. It's more that the overarching theme isn't showing yet. You can't really connect too much about it, and it's like you don't know what the end game is, and that's where we're kind of unsure about the show as a whole. The episodes aren't bad though.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with that. I just feel like the storylines and the side plots and everything, they're not really coinciding with each other, not making much sense at the moment. But I will say, I do enjoy the episodes for themselves. I was a bit harsh last week with my review for it, but this week, totally have a change of mind, different, views from it. I just feel like at times this show, they accelerate some storylines just entirely too fast.
Yeah, I mean, even in this episode, you see in the first 4 episodes of the season, you have Montoya and Allen and Barbara Keaton in every episode. In this episode, there's no one.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, maybe they did it on purpose. We'll have to see.
Yeah, maybe, they kind of figured it out with this, and this is where they hit their stride. Hopefully they, turn it around because, maybe compared to Arrow and Flash, it's just Gotham doesn't seem to be on the same level, per se.
Yeah, a lot of people do like Gotham, and we don't dislike it. We still like the show. We're still on board with it, but a lot of things you have to wait for the payoffs,
Exactly.
And if you lose interest in the show, if they don't keep you invested, then you're not there for the payoffs. Like one good example is Fish Maroni teaching the new girl who works for her that song. Why is it so important? And if you're not invested in that, because it's not that engaging. So if you're not invested in it and you switch the channel or whatever, you're not going to see the payoff at the end with it, know. And that girl's really pretty.
Yeah.
So
still something that this show is doing that I feel that I still don't really like is they have like some scenes where it's like they reintroduce characters that later on down the line they're going to be big villains in the Batman universe, but at the time it plays no part in like what's going on. Basically it's a useless scene saying, hey, I'm still here. So in this episode you see that exactly happen again. Selena Kyle slides down the hood of the trunk, tries to pickpocket. Jim Gordon turns around just in time, catches her in their act. She takes off. There's like no point to that at all.
Yeah, there's really no point to that scene. It's just a little reminder like, hey, Selena Kyle's still going to play a role in the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like doing that, you should just stop doing it, pretty much. It takes away from some of the other stuff in the show.
Yeah, the show writer said they're trying to go more Game of Thrones, less CSI, but so far it's really more CSI. Like, you don't get what you get out of Game of Thrones. You're not going to get any of that, especially on rated television and things like that. But you still get parts of it where like little things are surprising. People are getting killed. It is gritty. It is harder core than a lot of like Even the Flash is more like a lot of funner part, like more fun things in it. But the show needs to develop a lot more.
Yeah.
You do see Riddler get a little dark in this episode.
Yeah.
Fascinated by Viper killing somebody.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's because of the drug or because he just likes watching people die.
Who knows? I mean, that was pretty intense, pretty creepy scene. He's like, like really remind me, you know, especially because I just finished reading Hush. You know, it's like, man, it's like right on par with that version of a Riddler to the show. It's like, man, he's super creepy and kind of demented a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But we really want to talk about some of the character connections that we're starting to see a little bit more in this episode. You see, just it keeps continuing, obviously, because Jim Gordon is the main character. You see it between Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock. In this episode, my favorite scene by far in the entire episode was in the beginning. And Harvey Bullock's like, "It's still lunch! It's still lunch!" Like, it literally just brought me to tears. I was laughing so hard.
Oh, yeah. Bullock had a lot of funny lines in this episode. I tweeted about him. He was just like, "What's altruism?" and stuff like that. He's just a funny guy. Like, Donald Logue does a fantastic job as Harvey Bullock. So I mean that's the epitome of Harvey Bullock to me. So do you want to talk about some Easter eggs or? Oh
no, I still think there's a couple more
plot points.
Yeah, plot points, boys.
Oh yeah, the conversation with Sal Maroni, Penguin, and Gordon.
Yeah, you still definitely see that developing. Penguin, Sal Maroni, Penguin's still trying to weasel his way into the Sal Maroni organization and still trying to work his way up, and basically Sal Maroni kind of just tests him this episode.
Sal Maroni shows that he's open to the Penguin more and accepting, but at the same time he still doesn't entirely trust the Penguin. He's still kind of saying, if things don't work out, it's your head, So, this is going to build up to their eventual rivalry.
Yep. And then the last one I can think of was Bruce Wayne and Alfred. It was really cool to see, for sure.
Yeah.
At first, Alfred's definitely opposed to Bruce looking into his parents' murder. He doesn't really think that it's fitting, one, for such a young kid to even be reading into this stuff. But he's just trying to protect Bruce the best that he can. But it's more towards like the end of the episode after they kind of realize that there's something wrong with Wayne Enterprises, and basically Alfred's just like, I'm gonna help him out, which is cool because obviously Alfred Pennyworth, he becomes a big role in Batman's life.
Right. You also see where the line keeps moving with Bruce Wayne. It starts with his parents' murder. Now he's investigating more into the company. All these things, it's eventually gonna end up that he's this big detective. So,
yeah.
I think that brings us right into our Easter eggs. More detective references in this episode. We also have Venom.
Yep.
What does Venom do?
So Venom is basically the substance that Bane uses.
Yeah, to make him all luchador buff.
And he's like,
yeah, America, but from Mexico. Yeah. So that's a nice little hint over to Bane. You also have the Viper is also a supervillain from the Flash, who was a bank robber for a long time, and then Zorro, which is the Mask of Zorro Bruce Wayne was watching in this episode, and a lot of versions of the Batman storyline. That's the movie that they were coming from in the theater when his parents were killed.
Yep.
So
just a little side note, some opinions that I was just kind of thinking about while we were recording, is just that another thing that I thought it was like we talked about a lot this week that was wrong with the show Gotham, is that we feel like they're just showing Bruce Wayne a little bit too much in the show.
Right. Unless you're gonna bring in Tommy Elliott, his only friend is Gordon and Alfred. It's not working too well.
Yeah, exactly. And just the fact that everybody knows who Batman is, so Bruce Wayne is Batman, obviously. So basically, it just takes away from everything else in the show. Everybody wants to see who Batman is,
Alright, so I think that's all we have for this week. I'm Christian.
I'm Scott.
And this is Nerdy Boys Reviews. Stay nerdy, boys!